In this video, we're going to look at a chapter called Degenerate Objects. And this, again, is from the Testdriven Development by Example book. And just a quick review of what we did in the last video about test-driven development. I want to review the cycle that we are going to be working through here. So first step, we saw that we wrote a test. So we want to sit back, think about how the code should work, envision a story in our mind, how we're going to structure it, and then come up with a test to test that. And then step two, we're going to make it run. If you remember in the previous example, we started off, we had a test, we didn't even have the class yet. So we had to go in and actually implement the class, and we did what we needed to do to make that test go green. So first we got over the compiler errors, and then we made the test conditions to be acceptable and go green. And then with a test, with the proper test coverage running, we went and made it right. So by making it right, we went back and looked at it, did all the right things that we know we should be doing as Java developers, writing good quality object-oriented code. So the goal that we have is clean code that works. Very simple goal to put forth. Now in this, what we're going to look at is dollar side effects. And by side effects, we're looking at objects and how they mutate. And there's some structure in the code that we want to address. And I'm going to jump over to IntelliJ and take a look at that now. Now, what we're looking for here is testing some side effects. And right now, what we want to be able to do is something like this, is where we can come in and say 5 times 3. Then that should be 15. And if we run this, we're going to see that it's probably not going to be happy with us because we're actually mutating that object. And we can see now it's 30 because what's happening here is we have our dollar object. It gets initialized to 5. Now we multiply the amount by 2 and it goes to 10. So the first test passed. But now if we are intending to take it to 15, it is actually going to be 10 when it goes in here. And then rather than 15, we're going to get 30. And this is a pretty common error. That's why a lot of times you'll see people talk about not having mutating objects. So our dollar object amount is mutating there. And one way to get around this is to move towards an immutable object and allow that to be a different object. So instead of mutating the dollar object, the amount on the dollar object, what we can do is create a new dollar object in the multiplication. So we can say dollar, like so. We want to refactor our test. So now we're getting a new object. And now what we can say is product. We'll reassign that variable. Again, not a best practice here because we are reassigning that variable, so it's not a final variable, but it's a little more expressive of what we're trying to do. And here we want to say product. And this is the test case that we want to refactor to. Now, obviously, we're getting compiler errors because the times method is returning back a void. It returns back nothing. So that's why we have the squiggly lines, and inside of IntelliJ, it's saying, hey, this isn't working properly. So what we can do is return back a new dollar here. And let's just get this to return. So we return back a null. And now if I run the test, we'll see that things are unhappy with the test because we're returning back a null and not the object. So we can fix this by implementing new dollar amount times the multiplier. And we can just get rid of this here. We don't need that anymore. That refactors and goes away. So now if we run our test, we should be happy. So now we're in the green, and now our functionality of the class is doing more what we want because the multiplication, that amount doesn't change. We come in and we turn back a new object with the calculation done on it. So much better way of doing things programmatically, because before where things are mutating, that is often a source of errors. So this is a better approach. Now we don't have air quotes side effects. So in summary, going back to our to-do list, we can see now that we can mark off the dollar side effects.